So about a month ago now, I finally moved back to Japan. It took about 2.5 years longer than expected because of the pandemic, but here I finally am. And the first 2 weeks I stayed here in a capsule hotel here in Tokyo before I could move into this apartment. 2 weeks! For those of you who don't know, a capsule hotel is you get just a little capsule instead of a hotel room. They don't have any windows or anything. It's a little bit like being buried alive inside a skyscraper, sort of. They're not really designed to be stayed at for weeks at a time. Most people only stay a night or two in a capsule hotel, but I had to wait before I could get access to this apartment, and I didn't really fancy sleeping on the streets of Tokyo, clean though they are. It was an interesting 2 weeks for sure, and I will tell you all about my experience in this video. No holding back here. I'll talk about it, farts and all, you know. So the capsule hotel is called Unito, and I booked it through Airbnb. I believe it's a chain of different hotels around the city, and this one was really close to Tokyo Tower, which we will talk about later on. Really cool. The entrance has got this little reception area, and of course the place where you take off your shoes and change into slippers. Very Japanese. The men's only area was on the 4th floor. So when I first moved in, I checked if my penis was still on and hit the button, you know. This is what the floor looked like. You'll notice these rows of essentially glorified bunk beds, but with curtains. These are the capsules. I know that some more fancy capsule hotels have TV screens and things, but I still really liked mine. It had outlets, a little fan, so you wouldn't suffocate, that's nice. And this sort of raised bit, which could be used as a desk, sort of, so I could work in here. I was not allowed to use it as a dining table though, but we will get to that later, my goodness. At the end of the hall was this shared sink where we did our male grooming, and just around the corner was a toilet where we did our male peeing and shitting. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I tend to want to shit with some finesse, and luckily the toilet was equipped with the typical Japanese style bidet functions. It always amuses me how oshiri or ass shows a pair of juicy buttocks while the bidet function simply shows a woman. I suppose seeing a vagina would be a bit too much for the men on this floor, I don't know. Storage space was a bit limited. Most of us just left our luggage out in the hallway somewhere, or here by the windows. The view, by the way, was lovely. A very nice welcome back to Tokyo with both skyscrapers and a typical little izakaya below. Really cool. So that's the sort of tour of the place. So what was it like living here for 2 weeks? Well, it was interesting in a lot of ways, for sure. You get into your little routine after a while, like using your laptop's camera function as a mirror and stuff like that. In a regular hotel room, you get enough space to just unpack your suitcase and do whatever, but in this capsule hotel, unpacking the suitcase was a bit of a hassle. Here you need to figure out the most essential among your items and just stick to them. So your laptop, your toothbrush, your pocket Bible, and so on. This was annoying, of course, on one level, but it was also kind of fun. It was a little puzzle, you know. Using a minimum amount of clothes was actually okay, since there was a washing machine down by the reception that you could use. A minimum amount of clothes sounds as if I just went full on Donald Duck the entire 2 weeks. I picked up a set of clothes that I used over and over rather than having to rummage through the suitcase over and over again. Anyway, laundry machines, yes. Despite the very clear instructions on this, I managed to fuck this up. So I had to ask the staff for help. And without a word of English and without screwing up my Japanese too much, I don't think, I managed to ask for help and tell them what the problem was and then follow the very, of course, friendly Japanese staff's instructions and sort out the problem together. Yay! All in Japanese. I was so proud of myself, my goodness. The walls are very thin, essentially just boards of plywood. So any noises travel completely unhindered. This makes you, on the one hand, very mindful of every little noise you make, and you also get used to more or less constantly hearing someone snoring, grunting, or farting, and sometimes like a combination of the three. Some sounds seem to be beyond human orifices. Of course, this is something that doesn't happen at women's only capsule hotels, because women don't fart. They don't even have assholes, I'm pretty sure. After having watched a couple of videos about capsule hotels in Japan, I was sort of expecting these things, but the one thing that annoyed me the most, I think, was the whole not being allowed to bring food into your capsule thing. This meant that I had to go outside to eat all the time. My dad described it as sort of homelessness deluxe, because I had money to pay for food, I just didn't have anywhere to eat it, so I had to eat out in the street all the time. I didn't have enough money to constantly go to restaurants because then that would sort of beat the point of how cheap the capsule hotel is to begin with. So having convenient food in little parks became pretty standard. But fuck, even that I can't complain, because the Capsule Hotel was very central, at least I had no shortage of cool places to sit and eat, you know. For instance, like I mentioned, I lived within walking distance of Tokyo Tower. So, you know, having to spend a lot of time outside really wasn't that bad when this is just around the corner, like walking distance, you know. So to conclude, would I recommend you staying at a Capsule Hotel in Tokyo for 2 weeks? Well, let's run through the pros and cons. So the cons, you have to be really quiet when jerking off. The last thing you want is for someone to hear you and ask if they can join you, you know. You might fuck up your back because the mattress might not be very comfy, and you will spend a lot of time, you know, just crouching and sitting in awkward positions and stuff. Having no place to eat might actually make the whole thing a little bit more expensive depending on how you choose to eat compared to a hotel room, because you might have to go out and eat more often than you would otherwise. And then just the general feeling of having no privacy. You can't listen to music or watch videos with sound on, of course, you have to listen with headphones. And you know, whenever you go to the bathroom, you might have to fight for the spot with the farting Frenchman in the capsule above yours, you know. And then the pros, it's kind of fun. I mean, goodness. I love how cozy the tiny space I had was. Uncomfortable in many ways, though it was. I love living kind of minimal anyway, so gathering the few things I knew that I needed and sticking to them was kind of fun. It's also very cheap compared to every other type of accommodation in the same area. I lived within walking distance of some of the most touristy spots in Tokyo and paid like way less than most hotels even far away from the city center. And the final pro is capsule hotels are just fucking cool, I think. It's such a unique thing. I know they were designed mainly for like salarymen to have a place to sleep in the city, but it was really fun going here as a tourist, kind of too. Having tried it out was lovely, and of course made for a decent YouTube video idea. I mean, that said, 2 weeks is way too fucking long. I would recommend staying at a capsule hotel if you want to, but I'd go for a maximum of maybe 2 or 3 nights, you know. So there we go, yeah, Vlad, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and a comment and subscribe and stuff, because this is the first video of me back in Japan, so you can expect a bunch of Japanese videos from now on. Yay, finally, my goodness. Thank you very much, especially to the Patreons who support me on Patreon. You can go there if you want Q&A videos and more juicy stuff. I've done it for a while now, so there are quite a few videos for you to catch up on if you want to. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching again. Ja, just precis. Skit i outrot fan, vem bryr sig? Precis.